We're going to have some fun this morning. We are still in this series about family, and today I want to talk to you about how to get along with other people. And I don't know about you, but I have noticed something about other people, and that is that they are crazy. And I am a normal person, but I'm the only normal person that I have met, and everybody else seems to be pretty nuts. What I want to do is talk to you about how to see things from other people's perspectives and how to get along with people by understanding where they're coming from. And I think this is something Molly and I talk about a lot, and it's helped our marriage, it's helped us in our workplace environment, it's helped us with our kids, and so I think it's a blessing. You know, the Bible says in 1 Peter 2:5 that the house of God is built together with living stones. It says lively or living stones. And I've used this example before, but in the Old Testament, these people built the Tower of Babel out of bricks. And the Tower of Babel was a demonic structure that was meant to worship idols. And the way that the devil gets you to build something is by making everybody the same, by building with a bunch of bricks. But God loves to take stones, and all throughout the Old Testament, anytime you built an altar or something, you had to take just stones that no man had touched. You couldn't shape them. You just had to take them as they are and stack them on top of each other and make a altar. And God did this because He was trying to teach us something, and that is that our connection with God is never based on our human effort. It's never based on our works or how hard we try or anything like that. And moreover, when we're trying to build a house of God, when we're trying to build a church, when we're trying to build godly relationships, when we're trying to connect in godly ways, the way to do that is not to force everybody to be the same. It's not to make everybody be a brick. It's to allow people to be stones, and stones are shaped weird. And they have rough edges, and you take one rough edge and you put it up against another rough edge, and after a while they rub each other until there's some smoothness. And many of you are looking at your spouse, and you know that this is true. God puts people together so that we can rub off our rough edges. And here's a funny thing, is that in any significant relationship, what we begin to do is fellowship around our similarities. The thing that initially attracts people to each other is the stuff that they have in common. So I wanted to show you, this is Molly and I, if we can throw this picture up, back when we were, look at us, and I was 17 and she was 18. That's our senior prom, if you can believe that. I wanted to prove I used to have hair. And anyway, you can take it down. But we about this time in our life, you can take that down, Sean. It's all good. So anyway, we started hanging out, and we began to connect with each other around our similarities. We both loved Spider-Man. We both were good in school. We both thought each other were attractive. And so we decided to get married. And here's the thing, is that when you're first in any kind of relationship, whether it's with a romantic relationship or a friendship or whatever, you start by focusing on the stuff you have in common. And it actually sort of blinds you to your differences a little bit. Right. Because you like this person, and you will moderate your personality a little bit to be more like them. Now, you're not trying to be deceptive. It's just that you like this person, and you subconsciously know that a good way to get them to like you is to be like them. And so your personalities may be far apart, but you sort of kind of meet somewhere in the middle. But over time, as you become more comfortable around each other, the differences start to come out. And Molly and I have been married 12 years now, and when we were first married, we're the same person. You know, we're so connected. We do everything together, and she's my best friend. We're still best friends. There's nobody I'd rather spend more time with than my wife. But we've realized now that on the personality spectrum, we're about as far apart as you can get. We are. We're vastly different people. We have the same values. We care about the same things, but we view life through completely different lenses. And understanding the way that these lenses operate and the way that my values and her values and my values and other people I know, that they aren't necessarily the same and that we aren't necessarily looking at life through the same lens, that's really helped me to communicate better with people and understand what they need and give them what they need. And for a long-term relationship to last and for it to be good, you've got to learn to celebrate and honor each other's differences, not just their similarities. It's easy to say, you're just like me and I love you and you're amazing. It's hard to say, that part of you is nothing like me and I would never do it that way, but you're still amazing. That part of you that is totally different than me, that part of you is amazing and I honor it. If I can say that, I'm moving towards maturity in my relationships. So, I want to give me some grace. How many of you will acknowledge that I teach you the Bible? All right. So give me some grace here. I'm going to teach you something that is not found directly in the Bible. But how many of you will acknowledge that Gary Chapman's teaching on the 5 love languages is very helpful? I study the 5 love languages because I want the people in my life to know that I love them. I want them to actually feel my affection. I don't want them to say, well, I intellectually acknowledge that you love me. I want them to actually feel like I love them. And the way that I've got to do that is I've got to figure out what their love language is and then talk to them in that love language. And if you don't know the 5 love languages, I would encourage you right after church to go out and buy Gary Chapman's book, because if you have anybody in your life that you love, which all of you do, you need to understand that. Because you can be sending a message, I love you, and they can be receiving a message, I reject you. And that's why there's a lot of frustration sometimes in relationships, because we don't know that. But I'm not talking about that today. Today I'm going to talk to you about this thing called the DISC personality profile. The DISC personality profile. And this thing has really helped Molly and I. I wish somebody would have gone over this with us in premarital counseling. But this, again, helps me not only in my marriage, but in my workplace. It helps me in all my relationships. And I am constantly reading people, and whether you know it or not, I'm trying to figure out where you fall in this spectrum. And the reason I do that is not because I'm trying to be manipulative or confusing or anything like that. I want to understand who you are so I can talk to you in your language and I can give you what you need. Amen. Because all of these people have different fears and different desires. And if I can give them what they need and what they want, I can lower the fear, which causes them to present their best self. The Bible says perfect love casts out fear, right? These are kind of like love languages, and we'll go through these. If you understand what people need and you'll give them what they need, that's what love looks like. And love casts out fear. And if the people around me are not being driven by fear, they will be their best self around me. And that's what I want, right? All right, so give me some grace to go over this with you. This tends to be one of the funnier things that I do. So everybody say, ha, ha, ha. I need you to laugh up or warm up your laugh muscles in case you don't want anybody to strain a laugh muscle. Okay, so let's throw this chart up here really quickly. This shows us, one of the things that I like the most about this chart is that everything on here is a valid perspective, which means that I can't say to somebody in a different part of the circle that your perspective isn't valid. Everything on here has a time and a place and that we need to focus on. And people at the opposite end of the spectrum from you do not need inner healing. They need you to understand and value their perspective. Now, I mean, they might need inner healing, but most of the time they're just themselves, and you think there's something deeply wrong with them, but they're just different than you, okay? All right, so I'm going to do a really simple personality test that you can peg yourself pretty quickly. I'm going to talk about the top half and the bottom half and then the left half and the right half, and then we'll go back through and we'll talk about each thing specifically. And this may bleed into next week because there's a lot of things about this that I can get into more specifically. When you understand this well, and I've learned a lot of this from studying it and then just from talking to people and doing a lot of marital counseling. And once you've done enough marital counseling, you realize that people fit into these 4 categories, and if I can figure out what you are, I can prophesy to you your marital disputes without knowing much about what's happening in your life, okay? And it's not because you aren't special, you are. It's just that we all basically fit into some of these 4 categories. Now, if you hate the idea of being categorized, that means you're like me and you're an idea person. You're an I person. And you think, nobody can categorize me because I am unique. And that means you're an I person. If you love the idea of categorization, then you're probably a C person because they love labels and putting labels on things and putting things in neat boxes. But I people are like, I am chaos. You cannot define me. But anyway. So, how do you tell if you're on the top or the bottom half of the circle? The people on the top half of the circle are, it says outgoing, but that's not the best word. They're more like active people. And what this means is that they like life to happen quickly. They like to make decisions quickly. They like to talk fast. Sometimes, if you're at the top of the circle, people around you that are at the bottom can appear to be moving in slow motion. You might find yourself finishing their sentences. You might have to restrain yourself because they're not talking as quickly as you think that they should. If you're at the top of the circle, you think spontaneity and making things happen quickly is positive. The people at the bottom of the circle might call you impulsive. But the people at the top, we know we're actually decisive. If you're at the bottom of the circle, you prefer life to happen a little more slowly. You prefer to be able to think things through, to take time. And when people at the top half ask you a question, here's what you do. And you start to think about it. And the people at the top begin to have anxiety because you're not answering them. And then they say, well, what do you think about this? And then the people at the bottom say, reset process. And then they're trying to process. They're thinking, give me time to think. I will answer you in my time. All right, if you are on the left half of the circle, you tend to be more of a task-oriented person. And that means that you like tasks. You like doing things. You feel good when you have accomplished something, when you can check something off a list, or when you have accomplished a big objective. D people at the top are more about big objectives. C people are more about lists and crossing things off. But the fact of the matter is both of them are gain energy when a task is accomplished. Even if they don't necessarily like the task, if they get it done, they feel better. If my wife has anxiety, sometimes she'll go do the dishes or something, and when she's done and she can see that it's done, it makes her feel better. She's a left half of the circle person. I'm not. I'm a right half of the circle person. Right half of the circle people are people. And so you tend to determine your life based on your connection with people. And talking to people makes you feel better. So if I'm doing a whole bunch of tasks in a row, it starts to drain me a little bit, and so I'll call somebody up on the phone and talk to them for a few minutes until I get some energy, and then I'll go do more tasks. If you're on the left half of the circle and somebody asks you, how was your day, you'll usually define it in terms of things that you accomplished. You'll say, I did this, and I did this, and I did this, and I did that. Aren't I awesome? If you're on the right half of the circle, you'll say, I talked to this person, I had a great conversation with this person, we had another great conversation over here. So, if you are more people-focused, you're on the right. If you are more task-focused, you're on the left. If you are more of an active person, you're on the top. If you're more of a reserved person, you're on the bottom. Can everybody pretty well peg where you are? a little bit. Now, we're going to go through these more accurately, and so you can see whether or not you guessed right, okay? So we're going to start at the top with D people. So D people, the D stands for dominance or direct or decisive. These are people, what I want to stress before I go into this, you aren't just one of these things, okay? You're a spectrum, and they all come out in different ways, and everybody can do everything that's on this list. It's just that some of them are easier for you than others. You have a default state, right? My default state is very I. But I can do all the other stuff. I can do the C thing. It's painful for me, but I can do it. I can put stuff in a filing cabinet if I absolutely have to, but it hurts me physically. But I can do it. That's because I'm a high I, and so the thing at the diagonal opposite from you, that's the thing that's hardest for you. Okay? So D people, these are people that come out of the womb ready to be in charge of something. And they are going to lead something, and they are going to tell somebody what to do. And they're just born this way, and there's nothing wrong with them. S people look at them and think, you guys need some inner healing. You need to calm down. But D people, you make the world go round. You're large and in charge. You love telling people what to do, and it's not your fault. You just recognize authority vacuums. A D person walks into any environment and they're looking around for who's in charge. Who's in charge of this place? And if I can't tell that there's a strong person in charge, I'm either going to take charge or I'm going to leave. Because I'm not going to be in an environment where there's not a clear authority structure. Or I'm going to take the thing over because I know that I was born to be in charge of something. Now, these people, they love to make decisions quickly. They're very decisive. They run towards authority and responsibility. I've got a lot of D in me. The more responsibility I have, the happier I feel. Not everybody's that way. These guys hate injustice. They hate it. Injustice is anathema. And they will assume responsibility sometimes even for injustices that have not been done to them. And this can be a very good thing. It can also be very frightening. For an S person, if the D person says to you, you were just wronged, I'm going to fix it for you. They won't take that back. I will make them take it back. And I will get you a discount. Because I know that an injustice has been done, and I took a solemn oath when God sent me here to correct injustice. I can't let it go. It's not my personality. It's not part of who I am. Under pressure, D people will default to anger. And they a lot of times can be perceived as angry or demanding. And they hate this because they don't see themselves as angry people. And they aren't really. It's just when they're under pressure, that's what comes out. The brow starts to furrow. And the aggression starts to come out, and I'm going to control things more. Because I'm under pressure. And that's what I do when I'm afraid or I feel small or I feel insignificant. So because D people are born with this conviction that they are meant to change things and change the world and make a significant impact, they fear insignificance. They do. This is what drives D people is this fear that at the end of my life I will not have accomplished anything significant. Nobody will remember me. I'm small. Feeling small is a horrible feeling to a D person. And what they really, really, really want from us is for us to appreciate their contributions. I just want you to appreciate all the hard work that I'm doing. Look at all these things I accomplished. Objective, 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 objective. I did all this stuff for you. Aren't you glad? And most people are like, whoa, chill. And so we don't give them what they want. And that's wrong. It's like a love language. What they want is to know that all of this stuff that I've been working on, all these objectives that I've accomplished, I did it for you because I love you. They won't say that, but that's what they did. That's how they're communicating. I accomplished these things for you. Can you appreciate my contribution. How many of you, raise your hand if you know some D people in your life? Okay, can you commit to appreciating their contribution? These people live in objective land. They're thinking about objectives all the time. They're thinking about accomplishing stuff. This is why they can be in the middle of a conversation with you and just wander off. It's not that there's anything wrong. It's not that they're disrespecting you. It's, oh my gosh, an objective just popped into my head. I've got to go over here and accomplish it right now. I've got to do it. And to people on the right half of the circle, we're like, what just happened? You just dishonored me. What's occurring here? And nothing has happened. They're thinking about the objective. Their battle cry is victory. Victory at all costs. I will win this encounter, and I'll win it for you. And there's nothing wrong with them. There's D people, there are D men, and there are D women. And it's okay to be either. All right, let's go to the next people. Oh, so D people, their battle cry is victory, and they just say, just do it. Just get it done. Doesn't matter how we do it, just get it done. Boom, 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 boom. How many things have we accomplished today? All right, the next group of people are I people. And I people say, have fun doing it. If you're going to do something, it might as well be fun. Might as well enjoy it. Might as well tell some jokes along the way. If a C person was doing this talk, it would be a lot more exact, but it wouldn't be as funny. Because I'm an I person, so if we're going to do this, we're going to tell some jokes while we do it. These people, their battle cry is freedom. They're Braveheart. They have half their face painted, and they want to be free, and they want to be unique and an individual, and they want to express themselves. And don't restrict me, man. Don't put rules on me. Don't tell me who I am. I know I'm who I am. You can't be me. I'm awesome. And I've got all these ideas. I've got really great ideas. Do you want to hear some of my ideas? You're going to hear them whether you want to or not. And I'm going to tell you some of them right now. And I'm going to do it externally. And I'm going to process all my ideas out here in space. And I'm going to stress out all the C people in my life who process things internally. And I'm going to just process all my stuff out here, and I'm going to say a bunch of stuff. Some of the stuff I don't even believe, and I'm going to take it back, and I'm going to say, no, that was wrong. But it was a really great idea. It was a dumb idea, but it was really great the way I presented it. It was great when I was thinking about it, but now I realize it was dumb because I said it. Because I can't tell until I say it. I people are just, the I stands for interested and interesting. Interested and interesting. They're very interesting. They have good stories. Some of them aren't true. And they're interested in you. People will sit and listen to you for a long time for no other reason than that they're what's interesting. A D person wanders off. This isn't helping me win. I person, I'm fascinated. Tell me more about string theory. You know, I mean, I don't know. I'm live in this idea land all the time, and I'm like on the internet. The internet's terrible for I people because we're like, oh, shiny object. I'm going to read about string theory for 5 hours. Sure, it'll be great. What does that have to do with my life? I don't know, but I'm going to read about it because it's interesting. They're charming. They're charismatic. They're persuasive. They're people. People want to hang out with these people because they're fun. What these guys want is they want to hear that their ideas are awesome and that you admire them. So they want to tell you an idea, and then they want you to bask in the glow of their idea. That's really it. And most of us are like, well, I'm not going to do that. And especially, it's especially difficult for C people. Because C people, anytime they hear an idea, they want to analyze it. And so the C person's response is to ask a penetrating question that shows that your idea maybe wasn't as good as you thought it was initially. And that's no fun. but it's healthy. So I thank God Molly keeps me from doing a lot of dumb stuff. I people, we can be impulsive. When we're under pressure, I did not realize this for a long time about myself, but it's true. People under pressure, we do this weird thing where we default to unwarranted optimism or unwarranted trust. This is why, if you're an I person, it is bad to go to a casino. Because if you're an I person, you live with this inherent sense of optimism. Something good is going to happen to me. I'm a positive person. Something good's about to happen, right? It's going to be all right. Everything's going to be okay. I have a positive outlook, and I'm playing poker, and I lose $500. Oh my gosh, I feel pressure. What do? I get unwarranted optimism. I'm going to win the next hand. So I bet bigger. I default to unwarranted optimism or unwarranted trust. And this is people, we get stressed out sometimes, and so what we want to do is we want to reach out and grab somebody. Hey, Steve's an expert. Let's ask Steve what he thinks, and we'll just do whatever he says. We'll just trust him. Steve, you're an expert, right, Steve? And Steve just stayed at a Holiday Inn Express last night. He doesn't really know anything about the situation. But this is what we do. We default to just finding a person and just trusting that person to make a decision. And that can be good if the person really is an expert. But if they're not, you might be in trouble. Also, if you're an I person, you fear restrictions, rules, and not being noticed. Whenever there's pressure, I want there to be less structure. Molly wants there to be more structure. Potential for disagreement, right? Again, we live in idea land. So D people are shouting victory. I people are shouting freedom. S people are saying, let's do it together. D people, just do it. I people, have fun doing it. S people, let's all hold hands. Let's all sing Kumbaya. Let's all do this together. Let's make sure nobody has any hard feelings about everything. Let's process our emotions together. Let's stay in connection. Just somebody once said that S people's favorite vehicle is the gondola because it's just riding on the smooth waters. Don't rock the boat. Don't rock the boat. Anybody going to rock the boat? And S people always marry D people. And D people come out of the womb rocking the boat. And S people are like, you're amazing, but I'm scared of you, but you're amazing. As people cry out, stability! They want everybody to get along and accomplish things together. These people, they want to hear that their connection to you is strong and that you don't have hidden animosity. So a question inside S people's heart is, we good? We're good, right? But they're not going to ask you because they're too nice. And they really, really, really want you to respect who they are. They want you to respect them as a person. And the problem is that they're the easiest type of people to disrespect because they're so nice. And S people are actively trying to seek out ways to compromise and yield and think about other people. They live by the golden rule, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And so they're broadcasting this signal, just respect me the way that I respect you. But the rest of us are too busy crying out our other things. And so a lot of times we end up imposing on the S people until we put too much pressure on them, and then they just shut down. Are you okay? I'm fine. Are you sure? Because you look like Spock. Yeah, no, I'm fine. They withdraw emotionally inside themselves. These guys fear, so D people are kind of drawn to confrontation. The D in you likes confrontation. This is why I live a lot of contradictions, because I've got, after my I, my D and my S are pretty similar. So sometimes I'm all about confrontation. Yeah, confront people. Other times I'm like, oh my gosh, let's not do that. It's like I have a split personality or something. I'm sure others of you can relate to that. So these guys don't want to do contradiction. They fear disconnection. This is the worst thing for an S person. I don't want to disconnect from you relationally. And that's why a lot of times I won't tell you about how you've wronged me. So S people, you got to learn that you've got to share what's going on in here. Okay, you got to assert yourself a little more and communicate your needs a little bit more. And D people, you got to give them space to do that. Our top half of the circle people, we're cool expressing ourselves a lot of times easier than people at the bottom, because we're talking fast and we're living fast. And when the people at the bottom start to share something from the inside of here, it's harder for them, and it takes a while, and you've got to control yourself and control your anxiety and be quiet and listen to them talk. Okay, are we all right? So that's S people. So S people yell stability. I people yell freedom. D people yell victory. C people yell accuracy. C people say, do it right. If we're going to do it, we got to do it right, man. These guys love order, structure, and processes. They want to think things through. They want things to make sense, and they want to be thorough and accurate. These guys will not exaggerate. If you're an I person married to a C person, I exaggerate all the time. I live in exaggeration. I am a hyperbole. Molly is accurate. So I'm always like, that movie was amazing. It was the best movie I've ever seen. She's like, it was pretty good. Who's right? She probably is. But she's going to be accurate. They love making lists. If you're an I person, you're like, list? Why would I make a list? That doesn't help me. This was like a major point of contention for years in our marriage. Molly wanted to buy a filing cabinet. I'm like, why would we buy a filing cabinet? That sounds horrible. And now I still hate putting stuff in there, but I'm real thankful that we have it because it's real helpful, right? But putting stuff in there, like so we're putting stuff in there and I can't process it, so I just tell jokes the whole time. And I'm making a joke, and I made a file named Mr. A Knife from The Office to help me file better. But anyway, so these guys love organizing things, and if you're a C person, you just believe that there is inherent value in a job well done. There's inherent value in doing things with excellence. And even if nobody else is watching, you're going to finish the thing, and you're going to do it well. Amen. Why? Because it matters. Yes. You're going to finish everything. You're going to finish the tube of toothpaste. It's going to be finished accurately. D people, you will finish stuff to win. I people will finish stuff to impress people. S people will finish stuff to make sure they don't let anybody down. And C people will do it just because there's intrinsic value in finishing it. So what do C people need? They need to know that they did a good job because they care deeply about what they're doing, and they love to be praised for the process by which they did the job. They want to be praised for the outcome and the process. D people care more about the outcome, right? But C people, it's not only that you did it well, it's not only that the end result was good, it's that the process, you thought it through, it was beautifully articulated, it was well done. These guys also really, really want you to respect their feelings, which seems strange because they can be perceived as critical. Because if you're a C person, you're looking at the world and what you notice is inefficiency. And you notice that things are not done the way that they should be done. And as a C person, you have taken a solemn vow to root out and correct inefficiency. D people are going to correct injustice. C people are going to correct inefficiency. And so most of the time, D and C people get along really well because D people can see how C people help them win. But I and S people sometimes feel like that C people are just criticizing them. And if you feel criticized and you feel like that the C person's being critical of you all the time, and then they start to share their emotion about something or how they feel about something, it can be very easy to want to criticize them back. And what they want is for you to just validate how they feel about the thing. And I'll talk a little bit more about that, I think next week. So these people, when they are stressed, they enter in what I call an analysis loop, or the quest for more data. So C people love data. Give me more data. I have to make a decision, give me some more data. D people are like, give me less data. I made the decision a minute ago. C people are like, I can never have too much data. But sometimes you can get into paralysis by analysis. So people at the bottom, they're continually wanting to analyze things. S people are always asking, how is this going to affect the emotions of everybody in my life? How is it going to affect the connection of everybody with everybody in my life? So I can be paralyzed by my fear of how this is going to affect my relationships. C people are just paralyzed by the fear of inaccuracy or doing it wrong. I got to do it right, so I got to have all the data, so I make sure I make a good decision. And sometimes I don't feel, if I'm under pressure, I want more data, and I go on this quest for more data and paralysis by analysis. And I'm afraid of being wrong. And they live in concrete land. So I people live in abstract idea land. C people live in concrete facts data land. And so they're all viewing things from different angles. And so I like to do this exercise. How many D people do we have in the room? All right, D people. Who made all the S people in the room? Let's all try that again. All together, out loud. D people, actually everybody in the room, who made the S people? God did. S people, those D people in your life that stress you out, who made them? God did. I people, who made the C people in your life? C people, who made the I people in your life? God did. And so these rough edges can cause us to be pushed towards the center where the truth usually is. Right? The truth usually exists somewhere in the balance between those things. So as they come to the music, I'll just tell this funny example that I think teaches this well. You can stand up. So D, I, S, and C all go to dinner together. And they're at the restaurant after church, and there's bad service. And so the D person recognizes that this is a horrible injustice, that there is bad service, and I have paid good money for this good service. And so he gathers up all of everybody's checks and says, I am going to get everybody a discount, and runs off to yell at the manager. The S person sees this, is stressed out by it, and so grabs a napkin and writes on the napkin an apology note to the waiter and leaves an extra tip and then hides it under the other napkin so the D person can't see it. The I person thinks this whole thing is a little bit stressful and a little bit funny, so they do a bunch of nervous laughter, and then they tell a long and loud story about the time they almost blew themselves up with fireworks, and everybody laughs, and the tension is eased. The C person notices that the service was bad, calculates that it was about 75% of what it should be, and so they give a 15% tip instead of a 20%. And then they go home and they write a note to the management, and they say, if you would initiate some better training procedures and some follow-up processes with your people, these sorts of inefficiencies could be fixed in the future. I think that ties it together pretty well. Okay, let's have my prayer team come down here. You might think, well, Pastor, I don't know how spiritual that was. Well, in my opinion, it's super spiritual. Because learning how to honor people that have different perspectives from me is very, very important. Jesus can exhibit any of these anytime He wants to. He exists in the center. There's times that Jesus was very D, there's times He was I, S, and C. He can do all these things. And if I can learn that the people in my life that are different from me are gifts from God to me to help me to moderate my craziness, it's really helpful. Amen? All right, if you need personal prayer in just a second, you can come down. I'm going to pray for everybody, but we'd love to pray for you down here if you need something else. Father, we love you. We thank you for your goodness. We thank you for teaching us these truths about who we are and how to honor one another. And Lord, we just ask for grace to connect with the reality of who people are in our lives and give them what they need so that they can be their best.